If you walk into any tackle store these days, then the range of rods and reels on the shelves is extensive to say the least. And it can be quite overwhelming if you're just getting into the sport and you don't know which one that you might need. So what I thought we'd do today is go right back to basics. I've got a selection of rods and reels here. We're gonna chat about where you might use them and why. Let's get into it. So where I thought we'd start is just to quickly show you the selection that I've got in front of me. So this one here, we've got a stick baiting outfit. Over here, we've got our bait caster outfit, that's that one. We've got a light spin combo, which is this one here. And then we've also got a slow pitch jigging setup, which is that one there. And why I've selected these four is because they're all gonna be used in slightly different scenarios, targeting different species, which is what we're gonna cover now. Okay, the first rod we're gonna start with is this one here. This is your light spin combo, a super common outfit if you're fishing in estuaries down south. I'm talking targeting fish like flathead, bass, yellow belly, brim, salmon, and you can also target species up north like sooty grunter or jungle perch too. The pros of this combo is that you can throw relatively light lures like this one here, and you can cast them a fair distance. You can also fish a combo like this all day because it's nice and light in the hand. The downside of something like this, however, is the amount of power that you have in that rod. You wouldn't be able to target very large fish on this, and you're also not going to be able to throw very big lures. You just don't have the power in this rod to be able to launch them out. So there are two things that come into consideration when you're looking at a rod. What species are you going to target, and what lures do you want to throw? For me, I've got a rod like this because I love targeting mulloway and flathead in my local estuary and getting up the creeks chasing Aussie bass. So those smaller species is exactly why I've got this rod and reel. So stepping up slightly in the range is this one here. This is our bait casting combo. And why I would use this one is when you're targeting fish like barramundi and Murray cod. And the thing that both of those species have in common is they love to live around structure, which is where this is going to be your best friend. Because of how this reel works, you can use your thumb to stop the line, and it gives you a lot more control over where you land that lure. So in a situation where you're fishing all day, casting lures like that into timber or onto weed beds, you can stop that lure right at the edge of the structure and then fish it back to the boat or the bank or wherever you're fishing. So recently, I've been doing exactly that for fish like barramundi and threadfin salmon, and this has been a great rod and reel to have. Now stepping up in the range, but in a completely different fishing scenario, is this one here, which is the slow pitch jigging outfit. And you might be saying, that looks very similar to this one, but they couldn't be more different if they tried. The reason for that is we're now stepping offshore, so we're only using this one outside of our estuary systems, and we're fishing vertically below the boat with things like jigs, bigger soft vibes. And we've recently been doing that, chasing fish like largemouth nenegai and fingermark, and it can be a lot of fun. So how this rod differs, firstly, is with this reel here. So you'll notice it's got a lever drag and it's got a much bigger gearing system. What that allows us is to fish for much bigger fish, and you can pull on this rod and reel, whilst it might not look like it, you can pull some very big fish up from the deep. The final difference on this rod is the length of this butt section. It allows you to put the rod under your arm and really get stuck into those fish. And as you can see here, it can be a lot of fun. So remember, this rod is not for the estuaries, we're now fishing offshore. And that's something you got to think about when you're heading in to buy your next combo. The final rod and reel in our selection is this one here, and straight away you'll notice some key differences. The first one is the length of the rod. It's super important when we're fishing with stick baits and poppers is to get a lot of distance with our cast. We want to cover as much water as we can to entice those pelagics to come up and hit the lure, and that is why we use a rod and reel like this. The second one is you'll notice the thickness of the butt section here. That's so we can have a lot of power on these fish. We're targeting species like GTs, Spanish mackerel, coral trout, and we've got to extract them from bommies or coral or sharp edges, and that allows us to do exactly that. The final one is the size of this reel. You'll notice it's a similar looking reel to the first rod we spoke about, but significantly bigger, and that allows us to fish heavier line, fish more drag and smooth drag at that, and target much bigger species. So this is a rod and reel that I would reserve for fishing offshore, certainly offshore. You definitely wouldn't use this in the estuaries, and you'd be chasing fish, like I said, GT, Spanish mackerel, coral trout, red bass, green jobfish. It's a great one to have if you're fishing around islands like Jack and I were the other day, and check out some of this action. There you have it. There's a range of different rods and reels, all to be used in different scenarios to target different species. So if you're looking to get into the sport, which I encourage you to do so, head into your local tackle store and chat to the experts in there before you purchase your reel. Tell them what species you want to target and where you want to go, and get yourself set up and get out there and give it a go.